Monkey, Chimps, Sun Wukong, George, King Kong, Rafiki, King Louie, Gorilla Grodd, Dr. Zaius, Coco. Let's talk about the Vanara. The Vanara, or Apelings, are an anthropomorphic monkey-like race with a very few mentions throughout all of the editions of D&D, eventually making their way from 3rd edition in the Oriental Adventures into Pathfinder, and though they are loosely based off of Hindu mythology, I would argue that they just aren't well defined. Some notable characters would be Monkey or the Mad Monkey, which is a singular character from the Outer Planes, which, to be totally honest, I basically think is just a royalty-free version of the Monkey King. The Vanara in D&D are known for living in deep forests and high mountains and are deeply connected to the land, which really just means they're monkeys. Monkeys that know how to cast magic and use tools. Oh god. Is that all it takes to become an anthropomorphic race? Quick, Rugby, check out the monkeys. Make sure they're not using any tools. No, yes, power tools count as tools. No, get that away from them. Fine, you can use the blender. Just keep them away from the Statue of Liberty. If they're not careful with that thing, they're gonna end up blowing it up. Maniacs. But I digress. I've seen a lot of players want to play Vanaras like monkeys, and I think that's totally legit. So being a monkey that can hold a sword sounds like a lot of fun, and that's totally fine. They are a rather simple race otherwise, with very few racial variants, with a proclivity for social grooming and personal grooming. You could have an updo for combat and beachy waves for those great RP moments. It's like a mullet. Business in the front, spell slots in the back. It's in the book. Look it up. So unless you really want to stick to the books themselves, I'd say this is a perfect potential for a lot of homebrew and a lot of different options in D&D as well as Pathfinder. As for the Monkey King, well, there's a lot to unpack about the lore before we get to that, so let's break down the current lore and stats for the Vanara. In Pathfinder, there are 2 different variants, playable race as well as the Monstrous Apelings. Vanara are a medium-sized playable race, very similar to the D&D version, cute, fuzzy, good at tree climbing. And then there is the Charuka, the monstrous race of small screaming monkeys that are super good at throwing things. Think of a mix between a goblin and a baboon. If you really want to go this route with your character, I would say go for it. We can talk about that a little bit later. The important thing to remember is that the Charuka are, let's say, blissfully evil and probably want to bite your face off. Moving on. Let's talk about stats. Vanara get a +2 dexterity and wisdom bonus. And if you're playing Pathfinder, they get a negative to charisma, but D&D doesn't seem to think that's necessary, and I'm on the fence. They are classified as medium-sized creatures, but I really like the idea that they can vary from small to medium-sized, depending on how much of the monkey aesthetic you want to go for. Especially when they get down to the Charuka version. Charuka. How do you pronounce the hyphen in there? Regardless of what you pick, you get a tail, which is pretty awesome, but nothing amazing. It states that you can't use it for fighting or doing anything crazy with it, but I really think it should be the big bonus for the Vanara. Hell, fight with 3 weapons. Just double your negatives for the 2 weapons fighting. Or at least let them hang from trees, or carry themselves with it, or grab people. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Monkeys can do some weird shit with their tails. Did not think it would come out that way, and the censoring of did not help it either. Speaking of flinging poo, the Charuka can make... Charukaka? Maybe that's where it's coming from. I'll have to look that up. The Charuka can make something called a monkey tree trap, which is basically a tree that explodes into monkey poo. So, that's cool. Anyhow, regardless of which variation you choose, they're super good at jumping, super good at climbing. Being stealthy is basically, anything monkey-based can get bonuses to. I would include stealing food from people or intimidating tourists into dropping whatever they're holding and causing them to flee. Low light vision, which is nice. It's a nice little boon. 30 feet of movement speed, 20 feet climbing speed. I mean, with that, you're good to go. If you're playing 5e, you basically just start with the athletic feat, and that's it. If you're thinking about playing a Vanara, then you probably already know a lot about the demon monkey of the Flower Fruit Mountain, or the Monkey King. Or you've played a lot of League of Legends, or you just really like hitting people with a bow staff. Either way, no judgment. It's a pretty solid plan. The Monkey King as an archetype has a lot of different options. Make it a monk, maybe take some Nujitsu, so you have some of those shadow clones, and boom, you're done. Get a bow staff and just rock that. I've got a dirty mouth today. Vanara aren't all that specialized into playing one class. They do have the high dex and wisdom bonus, making them very good monks, but a lot of their passive bonuses you would get as a monk anyway, so it's not optimized well. They're more thematically driven, which is why I think we see a lot of Monkey King builds. What if I told you the real way to play a Vanara wasn't a monk? Come on, get closer, bring it in. You should be playing a warlock. But what kind of deity would a Vanara worship, you may ask? That's an easy one. Ongazan, ruler of the abyssal realm, of the Ahathian core, the demonic lord of apes, the embodiment of all savage strength and destruction, which is probably just another royalty-free stand-in for the Monkey King. This is great. the patron deity granting his power to the one true ruler of all ape folk, the Gorilla King. Which doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I guess we're just saying that all apes are monkeys, and that's fine. Whatever, moving on. So, the Gorilla King isn't exactly a person, which is where I think the Warlock comes in. Technically, anyone can become the Gorilla King, but it's not just like a simple crown you wear or a title. It's more of a physical body eruption of power and monkey bits. Gross. So to become the Gorilla King, you just have to climb a giant pyramid and touch the statue of good old Ongazan. Ongazan? Ongazan. Anyway, while in the possession of the body of the previous Gorilla King. It does not specify the living condition of the previous. Well, I mean, maybe that doesn't matter, because the next step is a full body explosion. Yep. Your physical form is torn to pieces, and if Mighty Joe Young believes you are worthy, you still explode, but then you reincarnate as a great dire ape. That's right. The king of all monkey kind is a dire ape. Big old gorilla grodbot over here. Kinda cool. A little bit of a body horror in there with some history lessons. I like it. But, moving on. It's terrifying. Side note, you don't have to be a monkey person to do this. Basically, anybody could become the Gorilla King. Dragonborn? Boom, not anymore. Drow Noble? Not after the Gorefest that was your body upgrade. Sick of being a squishy kobold? Touch the toe of Ankh-Kazan. Do your best impression of a Hot Pocket left in the microwave for too long. Dire ape. Powers of a god. Who doesn't want that, right? Whether you want to become a Gorilla King or you just want to worship the god of bodily explosions, I think the banana-themed warlock could be a lot of fun. Are you making banana-flavored daiquiris in there? Bring me one. Seeing as most of the reasons people want to play a Vanara is for the flavor, Monkey King flavor? Ugh, gross, monkey flavor. What the hell does a monkey taste like? That's not a question I want to ask. Don't put that into Google. You can really do a lot with that kind of badass deity backing you up. And as for the Sun Wukong players, Warlock isn't a bad choice. You can still do cool monk stuff. You are hyper agile, and with the addition of spells like Misty Step and Crown of Madness, those are right on par for the Sun Wukong build. Mixing in illusion magic, using a bow staff or an iron cudgel as your pact weapon, and you're basically still on brand. And if we're really being honest to the legend of Sun Wukong, he's basically just a warlock who chose himself as a patron deity. You don't get much more Monkey King than that. Some other cool options, if you really want to do like the Charuka route, would be to swap out some of the traits for Shrieking Frenzy, which is basically a bardic performance for all intents and purposes, giving your whole party haste for 3 rounds, as long as you're jumping around screaming and shouting at tourists. That was a continuation of the joke from earlier. I think this kind of racial bonus would be pretty awesome for any class. Having a specialized racial performance would be a pretty cool boon for any bard. Let me sing you the song of my people. Rugby! Keep those monkeys out of the liquor cabinet! And they just start flinging poo everywhere and occasionally counterspell. And you've got it. You're done. Perfect bard. Did I mention that the Charuka get to throw anything as a bonus feat? No negatives for improvised weapon throwing? I think that's a great trade-off for being a small creature. Plus, the poo. You want to throw what at the guard? It's in the book! Oh, it's everywhere! I got it in my eyes! Thanks again for watching, and if you have a cool Vanara story or character that you'd like to share, well, please feel free to do so by dropping it down in the comments below. We're getting really close to that 3,000 subscriber mark, and I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who has commented and shared these videos and liked them. A very big thanks to my Patreon members as well as the new YouTube members. We're doing a lot of fun stuff on the Discord during the live streams, and if you want to come join us, draw with us someday, or just talk shop and tell us about your D&D game, feel free to stop on by. We have a lot of new merch up in the store, including stickers and shirts, and I think there might be a pair of socks that look like they're made out of wood. So check that out. I don't know if that's something you're into. But the link will be down in the doobly-doop. If you'd like to download or use the image of artwork from this or other videos, you can do so on our Patreon page. Feel free to use those for your personal games, your character sheets. Just don't sell them, or otherwise I'll sick my flying monkeys on you. Shoot, I forgot to talk about the flying monkeys. No, they should be small creatures, but have wings instead of throwing anything, or have maybe another frenzy. I don't know why I said it like that. I don't know if the monkeys are taking me away. Those monkeys are terrifying, though. Remember to keep your dice on the table and the flying monkeys out of your liquor cabinet. Did they just go away when the witch died? So many questions. Bananas.